tragedy transformed his life for the better. And Jeff joins us now in the studio. Good morning to you, Jeff.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in. Now, take us back to your childhood. You got involved in petty crime at a young age.
Yeah, literally growing up, parents obviously doing their best around what knowledge they acquired through life. And unfortunately, I was on the backside of that, growing up in one of Australia's most notorious streets at the time, and it just all sort of fell into a habit and ritual of life, and that sort of led to the life that the life that you see before yourself today. And yeah, unfortunately, I was a kid that was built with a whole heap of destructive habits and rituals that didn't know any better.
You actually believed that serving time was a badge of honour.
Literally.
So after 18 years in and out of prison, what changed?
You just get to a point where you sit down and you start to think about life slipping by yourself. It was down in Melbourne. I'd just been convicted of a bank robbery down there, found guilty, and in the back of a prison truck, and basically broke down and got to a point in life where I wanted more out of life. I understood that our community, our Aboriginal community, went through so much, and Everleigh Street, Redfern, just to see that as a normal way of our life, I just wanted to flip that and change that. And it got to a point where I had to pull myself up on the rubbish, I'll use a nice word or term, that I was feeding myself to get by. And we do that as human beings. We want to start a healthy lifestyle, we want to start a business, but the fear stops us from doing that, and the habits and rituals behind that keep us in that same spot. And for me, I got sick of it, and I got to a point, I said, you can either die here or you can change your life, and that was how deep that was.
Wow.
And you started during your last stint in prison. You did a Bachelor of Nutritional Science.
Absolutely.
Was that the start of the turnaround?
Literally, after I'd come back, I went into segregation, 3 months in there. I sat with myself, and it was probably that apex, that transition for myself where I could sit with who I wanted to be. And I'd never ever done that. And I realised over time now, dealing with corporate soldiers, athletes, mothers, fathers, we just don't sit down and say, what do we truly want out of life? Whether it's the amount of kids, the financials, the house, where do you want to live, and really defining that. And walk out of there and a bloke asked me, you look like a smart young chap, would you like to do a university degree? And the rest was history.
That is brilliant. You're now working as a mindset and life coach. Tell us a bit about that. You share your story in New South Wales communities. What changes are you hoping to bring to other people's lives?
Well, we share it across the country, to be honest. So we go out in the communities anywhere and everywhere. Corporates, we deal with people. We just come back from a 9-week trip overseas, dealing with the people, helping them change and flip their mindset.
Wow.
I just realised that as humans, and I realised the life lessons I got from each of those experiences. It doesn't matter who we are, and you can define me as a bank robber. I'll define myself based on who I want to be and where I was, and what's the lessons I learnt from that. Because what we tend to look at is the problem, and the problem is going to bring an emotion that, do you want stress in your life?
No.
No one wants stress in their life. So I just sat there and said, what do I truly want in my life? Happiness. All right, where's that happen? Who's that with? What are you doing at that point in time? And then I started to move towards that more intentionally. And I found that by doing that, I became very successful, transitioning out of a really dark background, destructive habits and rituals to myself and the community. And, on the back end of that, bad father for myself, had 2 kids, left them behind, and went into jail. And I think once you understand the depth of how we operate as human beings, then I can tap into people's mindsets and how we think about ourselves, and that perception correction that allows us to see a better way to life. And it's simple. It's just broken down by sitting down with yourself and defining the roadmap of life. Your A is when you're born, B is when you die. What do you want to happen in between that life? And really writing that out. Every business will write out a business plan. We don't write out a life plan. And when we do that, the intentions behind that create the life that we truly want.
That is an incredible transition, just changing the path that you're on in your life. If you could give young people or people who are struggling one piece of advice, what would it be?
It'd be, what's the lesson that you learnt from your experience? No matter how dark that was, we always focus on Jeff's a bank robber, it's destructive and it's caused damage to the community. What's the lesson you've learnt from that that can become a blessing within your life?
Yours is an incredible story, and I've been inspired just sitting here listening to you for the last few minutes.
Amazing.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us today, and
I
wishing you
appreciate it.
lots of good fortune going forward and spreading that message around.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Good.
Oh,
Thanks, mate.
wonderful.